fall weather and winter.
Welcome to ARW discussions, folks. We've got a very distinguished crew here today. Lots of very knowledgeable guys. And what we had decided we're going to talk about first is bandsaw blades and what kind of teeth you got on there. You got the 12, 14, you got some other kind of thing. And do you buy stare-it blades all the time? Anybody want to say something about blades?
Absolutely stare it, 100%.
There you go.
They might cost twice as much, but they last 4 times longer. So it's a little sting on the front side, but it's well worth it.
Yeah, I buy the Stare Intense Pro die for my little 4x6 and never look back.
I got a bear claw on my horizontal that I haven't changed in about, I don't know, maybe a year and a half. And I cut 1.5 inch, 2 inch diameter stainless with it all day long. And the thing is just a beast.
What kind of teeth setting you got on it?
It's a skip tooth. It's an 812, I believe. So it's got a little bit of variable jump to it, so it can handle aluminum as well as it can handle stainless. I don't even change the feed or the RPM on it. I got it set at about 300 RPM, and it just chews for everything. It would take longer to change the RPM for the aluminum material than it's worth, so I just leave it as is and just crank up the feed. Works good.
Yeah. Now I've got stare-it on mine, and it's been lasting pretty good. I put it on there about 2 years ago.
You can chew them up if you put the wrong stuff in there. Put some cobalt chrome or some other nasty stuff in there. Kiss it goodbye pretty quick.
Even the stare-it blades for the portabands are pretty darn good. They make a variable pitch blade for those, for your handhelds.
I haven't tried those
I've been buying
yet.
stare-its for the portaband.
Yeah, I've got the Lennox is what I've been using on the portaband, but I'll have to try the stare-it. I didn't know they made them.
They do make them.
Those little portabands, they scare me.
They what?
They scare me. They just look like an accident waiting to happen. Those little guys.
When you got to cut a chunk of I-beam 15 feet in the air, you don't really have a lot of choices.
100% agree. It's a tool for everything, but that's a spooky little machine.
Yep.
Well, I had suggested this topic to Harold because I've got a problem. I got a 20-inch vertical that we've got in the shop, and I put a blade on less than a month ago, and it's already got 2-inch chunks out of it where teeth are just missing. It's a 10-14 variable pitch Linux, and the only thing I can figure is somebody's went in there and started cutting something really thin on it.
That'll do it.
And it's driving me nuts because I'm trying to find a good blade that works for just about anything, and that's the one I came up with. But heck, I think they're running sheet metal through it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, if they're running thin, structural shapes, square tube or round tube, or thin profiles with a coarse blade, you'll just rip the teeth right off of that poor thing.
I've heard you can turn those blades inside out and run them with the teeth facing up for thin aluminum and rubber. Is that true? Anybody ever try that?
Never have.
I have not.
I've taken the circular saw blades and turned them around backwards for cutting vinyl siding on the houses, on properties. And it's amazing how well that actually cuts. It kind of slaps the material out of the way as opposed to cut it. And it just doesn't grab. It doesn't shake. Nothing. It works pretty good.
Interesting.
Try it sometime and you'd be surprised. I thought it was a joke and I was going to get this material all sucked up inside my saw the first time somebody suggested it. But I trusted them. I tried it. It's one of those things that you don't see in a book.
Yeah.
Right.
Sounds like a good idea.
I was shocked. It was a carbide tip blade, rather aggressive rip blade, and it worked out really well.
Huh.
Who was talking about the cold temperature here now? Billy, was that you just a minute ago?
I was talking 58 degrees here. It
went down to 27 degrees here in Texas last night, and I just finished sweeping leaves out of my pool. It's only 41 outside right now. It is a winter day out there. It's cold.
Yeah, it is. It's going to freeze tonight.
We've had 25 degrees every morning for the last week.
Send me your autograph.
We've been down below zero a couple of nights here.
Probably barely making 35 out there today.
Yeah.
So I gotta say, I'm originally from New
heaters running
Jersey.
all
I
day
used to shovel
yesterday.
snow with a t-shirt on, so your blood's a lot thicker when you live in the cold, and it's not that kind of weather down here. Your blood gets thin. It hits 60. I run for a sweater.
Yeah, me too.
I'd be sweating like crazy.
I was in Foxborough, Massachusetts one time that got up to about 60 degrees, and all the guys popped out, short sleeve shirts out, walking around out in the sun, and I thought, this guy's going to freeze to death, you know.
Now your blood's thicker. It stays that way.
You kind of get used to it.
You do.
Like I was saying a couple nights last week, it was minus 35 centigrade overnight, which is minus 31 in your temperature.
Yeah.
They call it the Great White North for a reason.
The coldest weather I ever experienced was in Poconos up in Pennsylvania, with Camelback Ski Resort. It was 64 below zero at the base. Yeah, they allowed you to do one run, and then you had to hit the lodge for about 30 minutes. And there was a doctor at the chairlift checking you for hypothermia before you could sit down.
Oh,
Huh.
Wow.
64 below, that's bad.
It was cold. Fahrenheit. That was a cold day.
I've heard about places.
Did you go
where-
skiing that?
Oh yeah,
You did? Cool.
I did. Nobody said I was smart, Chuck. There was nobody on the mountain. I mean, it was a great way to go skiing, right? If you survived to see the bottom.
Wow.
It was cold. Not as beautiful as California mountains, though. I love Mammoth. That's one of my favorite resorts out there. Beautiful scenery. God's country.
I poured some concrete yesterday. I got through about 4:30, so I don't know what this cold's going to do to it.
But cures better in the cold, doesn't it?
I don't know. They told me to pour it and make sure it wasn't below 50 degrees for 24 hours, and it was above 50 degrees for about 7 or 8 hours.
Yeah, you
Average
should
it
be
out.
fine. I think as long as it doesn't freeze, you're fine.
Yeah, if you get a hard freeze, it'll crack.
Bummer.
It'll crack sooner.
Yeah. Good point.
How many of you guys have the standard 4x6 Harbor Freight / Chinese type import bandsaw?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Me, I got one.
Not Harbor Freight, but same basic thing.
Yeah,
I got one. I'm looking to give it away. As a matter of fact, if anybody's in the area wants to stop in and throw it in their trunk, they can have it.
I've found that you got to keep the blade extremely tight.
Mhm.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
popping off. Is that
Yeah, they
Same with
walk a
mine.
lot too. They won't cut straight to save your life.
Yeah.
Somebody told me to tighten the blade, just tighten the heck out of it, and I did that, and all of a sudden the blade started staying on.
Yep. We've got the jet version, but we don't use it hardly anymore because of that purpose or that reason. And we've got the larger 7x12 horizontal.
Yeah, that's a nice little machine at 712. That's what I call my stuff on.
Yeah, I actually picked up a 7x12 at an auction. Needs a lot of TLC, but it got it cheap enough that it's worth it. It's in the pile of stuff to do yet. So
Chuck's
Chuck
playing
made
with the
something
printer
again. What'd you make, Chuck?
I 3D printed this blade tension gauge. You put it on your bandsaw blade and start tightening your blade. And on my Powermatic 20, it's got a scale on what depth your blade is, 3/8, ½ inch, whatever. Cool. And on my ½ inch, if I take it to the ½ inch, and then actually go to what it should be per the dial indicator, I've tightened the hell out of it, and it really cuts a hell of a lot better with the proper tension on the saw. Works really well.
Nice.
What kind of
my little 4x6, I came out of the box cutting straight. I mean, it's unheard of for those little Harbor Freight saws, but I've got the blade nice and tight. It cuts straight, it cuts square, and I'm afraid to it needs to be cleaned. And I need to tear it down, but I don't want to tear it down because it's cutting straight.
The dirt's holding it together. Don't clean it.
But I'll tell you what, I just recently picked up one of those Evolution cold saws, the 15-inch. Mm-hmm. That is a beast. If you're doing fabrication, that is the tool. Now, It makes a mess. It makes a hellacious mess, but it's
very loud.
Yeah, and they're loud, but they're amazing.
Yeah, I got one of those. It's loud and messy, but it's wonderful the way it cuts.
If you got a bunch of pieces to cut off, you can't be at a chop saw for that type of work.
Yeah,
it cuts straight.
I put a metal cutting blade on my DeWalt chop saw one day, and I just figured I'd go after some aluminum with it. And I was lopping off 4x6 rectangle aluminum chunks all day with it.
Yeah.
Of course, once it starts to bounce, you got to run.
Now that started life as a regular abrasive saw?
As a wood saw, yeah, as a chop saw.
Oh, the wood saw.
Mhm.
Okay.
You're not
I've
getting,
got a-
I've
you're
got
not
a
getting chip
14-inch
welding.
abrasive saw that I never used, and I was thinking about putting a metal cutting carbide blade on it and see if it works. But I think the RPM's too high.
Oh, it's high for the first initial cut because you don't have a big footprint. But as soon as you have a big footprint, you got more than several teeth on the material. It cuts pretty good.
Well, I know the blades are very special. They got a little camelback right behind each tooth, kind of like a chainsaw, so that
Sure.
the teeth can't take too big of a bite.
That makes
And
sense.
I know that little camelback controls your depth of cut.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I've
I don't
got
You're
my
talking about the wood
Ryobi.
blade?
Excuse me?
You mean on the wood blade, Stan?
No, the steel
The
blades.
metal blades, yeah.
I didn't notice that on the Evolution ones, so maybe they're different.
Yeah, the metal cutting saws have kind of something so you can't get too big of a bite on them and break the carbide off.
You cut steel on yours too, Stan?
It depends on who you
I haven't
are.
tried
I
it
can
yet.
break them.
Now I've used a Ryobi chop saw with a standard carbide to cut aluminum extrusion. That works like gangbusters. You just got to be careful. You got to turn the saw off before you bring it back up. You yank the
Right.
carbide.
I use a standard carbide saw for cutting aluminum extrusions and things. You just got to watch your feed rate. Don't feed it in too fast, and it'll get right through it. A little bit of lubrication does fine.
Yeah, I've done the same thing with just a regular miter saw.
But I haven't tried it with my abrasive chop saw yet.
Yeah, the Evolution is slower, right? It's got a gearbox and it runs a little slower. And I haven't used it much, but I've been really shocked at just how fast that thing cuts. If you try to go into it gently like you would with a wood saw, it starts bucking and bouncing. But if you just go after it, it just slices. It's shocking how fast that thing goes through.
Nice.
I tell you though, don't cut something thin that's going to come out of your vise because that'll wipe the teeth out.
Read that in the book, did you, Harold?
I already did it. Sorry about that, but I did it.
We were talking about the Harbor Freight ones. I'll mention that Mark with Winky's Workshop, he come up with a couple things for his. Apparently, a series of those bandsaws don't go all the way down. When you go to cut, they'll leave a little bit. So he made a plate that he's selling that he can put on top of there to bring it up so that when you cut, it goes all the way through your material.
Joe, you did some stuff on that saw as well, right? I think Uchel did some upgrades on his and did some videos on it.
Yeah, I've added some stuff to my stationary side jaw. I put rails on it, different kinds of rails. Allows you to cut multiple bar stock, a plate at an angle. Mounting that upper rail to the stationary jaw really did help a lot for what I do.
I tell you what, I've got one of those real cheap table saws. It's got the little bag underneath to catch the sawdust. And I had a carbide blade there. My brother came down and we needed to cut this piece of angle iron. So I just cranked the thing up, shoved the angle iron through it. Was really happy with how it cut, really fast and straight. And he said, "Hey," he says, "your saw's on fire." And it was burning sawdust falling through the bottom of that sack and already.
Yeah, I've cut the hedge out front on fire a couple times with my abrasive saw. We're not paying attention, and the sparks fly in there. Yeah.
I've shown this on my channel a few times. Basically, a piece that holds rounds or squares, but you can come in with a toe clamp on top of it. Right, it's got the it's threaded, and so then you can put it in the saw, and now you can cut off just a little sliver, whatever you need to, in the bandsaw.
I think that's a great idea.
I like
Yeah,
that.
that's great. The other thing you can do if you're working like in a small, like I got a 10 by 22 benchtop lathe, so I'm running a 5-inch 3-jaw chuck in it. You can just take the chuck off the lathe and it'll clamp into the saw, and you can do the same thing. So if you like if you've got something too big to part in a small flexible lathe, you can just sort of score it with the parting blade and then just pop the whole chuck off, go put it in the bandsaw and finish the cut, and that works really well.
Nice.
I'm not doing that with my 70-pound chuck.
No,
Yeah.
it won't fit in your 4x6 saw.
Come on, Randy.
Come on, Randy, man up.
You got a gantry, don't you?
We're not doing that.
Here it comes.
I don't think my whole lathe weighs 70 pounds.
Oh. All right. So who else is working on something cool right now? Anybody?
Something cool.
I'm out in the field. I don't have
Anybody doing
any.
anything fun
Everything
right now?
outside is 25 degrees. It's
I
pretty
don't have
cold.
any good shop work.
I've had an Atlas shaper, a little 7-inch shaper, for several years now, and it's just been sitting on a little cart down on the floor. And I finally brought the stand. It's got one of the stands with the cast iron legs, which I had stored in the house because I had no room out in the garage. But I finally drug it out there to the garage, and I want to get started on it. But I've been trying to figure out how to put some type of wheels, just, something that would be retractable on the legs. So, because being confined to a 2-car garage, you got to be able to move things around. And man, you want to talk about a challenge, because I really don't want to modify the cast iron legs, but I need to come up with something where it's convenient, to either lower the wheels or have some jacking screws that will raise it up off the wheels so that when you're actually running it, it's secure to the floor. So, not really looking for suggestions, but man, what a challenge! It's not easy.
How heavy is that thing?
You ever seen those units that they move show cars with that go in front and rear of the tire, and then they articulate in and lift the tire so they can push
like a go jack.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I've just been, I got a bunch of materials and several different wheels, and I've been trying to mock something up, and I'll come up with something. But man, what a challenge to not modify the original legs.
Leave it up on the wheels and make a video of it running. It's going to rock back and forth like a trebuchet.
So hold that up again.
There we go.
What is that?
What are we
What
looking
is
at,
it?
Chuck?
So it's a mic check. Check your mics. Somebody made it on a lathe. It's got a center in it. It's on a piece of beam, and then they got it all dialed in on what when you want to check your mic.
Interesting.
How much does that shaper weigh, Dean?
Is that made out of aluminum?
No, it's steel.
Is it? Well, that's got to be heavy.
It's for sale. Somebody wants to buy it.
No.
I think I'll stick to the standards.
I'll stay with the
I'll see if
standards
I
and
can
come
turn
with the
my-
mics.
I'll have to see if I can turn my camera around and show you. Some of you guys haven't seen this, but go ahead and keep talking. I'll see if I can.
Hey, Dean.
Yeah,
what's
the
Dean,
The
what's
stuff
the
Chuck gets, I tell you.
Yeah. So, anyways, Billy, the shaper with the stand, probably about 600 pounds, everything combined.
It's not bad. What's the footprint on that? As in, could you make yourself a sort of a tubular or channel iron sort of skid? Do you have a pallet jack in your garage?
I don't have a pallet jack. Being in a 2-car garage, you don't have a lot of room.
Sell one of your cars.
Yeah.
I like the way you think, Stan.
Yeah.
Who needs a car?
At a carport.
But yeah, I've been toying with the idea of doing some type of a frame for the entire assembly to sit on. I really don't want something that's going to catch chips underneath it. Where I'd like to keep it open, where you can get the broom underneath the clean. But it's. I've been looking at a few ideas.
You been
So,
going?
anybody need some V blocks? 35
Good
pounds.
Lord.
35 pounds a piece.
Wow.
Huh?
Where'd you
And
get them,
then,
Chuck?
I just picked this up yesterday for 400 outdoor. It's a
It's like a phase converter.
7.5 horse phase converter.
Yeah,
But
huh.
how about angle blocks? Anybody need any angle blocks? Come on, you
Nice.
guys need something, don't you? Wait a minute, it goes more. Somebody, I don't even know what these damn things are.
Nice.
How about a protractor? Everybody want to buy a protractor? Only got about 20 of them here.
Chuck, you may have a problem.
Chuck, he doesn't
How about-
12-step program for that.
How about a Brown and Sharp sign plates? Got a few of those.
I
Nice.
might be interested in one of those, Chuck.
Got depth gauges. Got a whole stack of depth gauges. Got the mag blocks and boxes. I've been selling. I've already sold about $2,000. I had these Starrett height gauges, vernier height gauges, $65. I've been letting them go. Yeah. So the backstory on this, there's a little Walker chuck, little magnetic chuck. The backstory on this is I saw on eBay one of these guys, and the guy was in Milpitas, 15 minutes from me. So I wrote him, said, "Hey, I want to come over and see what you got." He had 5 of those for $500. So he writes me back and he goes, "Well, I live in Los Altos." Well, it turns out he lives 2 miles from me. So I go up and I buy what I wanted to buy. And he had all this stuff. He goes, "I'm not a machinist." He goes, "I had to buy something and all this crap came with it." And he had stuff on eBay. So I told him about my meet and greet coming up this year. And I could, maybe you can come in. He goes, "Hey," he goes, "I'll tell you what." He goes, "You look honest." He goes, "Take it all home. Just take it and you sell it. And whatever you sell it for, you get 25%. So I've been running ads and stuff, but the really goofball stuff, or that a typical shop's not going to buy like that. Been talking to the college over here to take it as a donation, all this stuff, and donate it. Then the guy that owns it gets full value to get rid of it.
Chuck, how's he going to know how much you sold it for?
Pardon me?
Said how's he going to know how much you sold it for?
I'd tell him.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just thinking one step ahead of you, brother. Tell him you sold it for $10 when you sell it for $100.
Yeah.
Only
Yeah.
kidding. I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't do it. No, I'm being fair with the guy.
That's bad karma.
But
Well, Chuck, I might be interested in one of those plates and one of those protractors.
Yeah, the bitch is I've been just doing it local because I don't want to get into the postage and everything, to be honest with you. So, I mean, if you want to pay the postage,
Postage is brutal, especially in Canada.
yeah,
And
That's-
the
that's
customs,
the
it takes forever to get through customs.
yeah.
I sold a T-shirt to a guy in Australia 2 weeks ago. It was $73 to ship the shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I called him up and I said, "I can't, in good conscience, I can't accept you. I can't accept the order. I can't send $73 for a T-shirt. That's just nuts." Plus, there's a restriction now between the U.S. and Australia. The U.S. Postal Service, they're heavy on the COVID protocol, so you can't even mail something to Australia right now.
Well, I tell you what, I was giving away all the free stuff I got at Harbor Freight every time I went in there. I had one of those little multi-testers. So a guy in South Africa won it. So it cost me like $40 to ship it over to him. And, I got it for free and I could have bought it for $16. And it got lost in shipment. So I sent him another one. I quit giving away the stuff from Harbor Freight.
It was costing you money to give it away.
Yeah, it was. I was really going in the hole.
Well, your heart was in the right place.
Yeah.
That's why if I ever do a draw, I try to make sure it's small stuff. It's cheaper to mail. I mean, I had one package go to Slovenia, one to Turkey, one to when you start doing that, you want to make sure your packages are small.
Yeah.
I put it in the lightest, biggest box I can pack it in because I found that the small stuff gets lost.
Oh,
Yeah.
Use the biggest box that weighs the least amount. And Steve,
I've got small things in those great big envelopes, 10 by 15 or something.
That's what you send out?
That's what I've got stuff in from from Amazon. They don't send anything small in a small package.
If somebody just made the comment that the U.S. Postal Service will deliver, but as last I heard, it was FedEx had their fingers in that. So it's not USPS door to door. So you can get it through, but there is a third party. So that is correct.
Yeah.
In case you want to send some free stuff out, Harold.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, I send stuff all over the world every day through eBay, through the global shipping program. So they've got a forwarder, I think it's Pitney Bowes, that handles it, and then they hand it off to some local courier. And probably 99% of the stuff goes through, and that's actually gone pretty well. But man, some people really, really pay. Something
Yeah,
costs
it's
me
unfortunate.
$3 to ship in the U.S. $25 product. Some of these guys are paying $80 for it.
I'd like to know how China gets away with free shipping on some of the $10 items you buy from them. How does that happen?
Government subsidy.
No idea. Yeah.
They've got a government subsidy on their shipping.
Is that what that
Well,
is?
the issue is that the global rates are set politically, and there's and for the longest time, China has been classified as a developing country, so they get a break on international postal rates. So when you ship to China, you pay way more than when they ship to the U.S. because they've been classified as a developing country. Our former president was working on that, but it's a really thick quagmire of international politics. It's a tough one to crack.
Yeah, I'll bet it is.
The International Postal Union manages that. It's kind of a closed-door old boys club.
Yeah. Far from a developing nation, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Many people would agree with you.
I sent that little furnace back to Banggood, and they wanted me to send it to China, and it was going to cost like about $100 to ship it to China. And I told them, yeah, well, you're going to pay the shipping. And they argued back and forth on that. And then they gave me an address in California. It cost me about $58, something like that, to send it to California.
Tell them where
They
it
gave
was.
Huh?
Tell them where it was in California.
Well, the first time they wanted me to send it to
Dan's backyard.
Stan's backyard. And then the second time around, when we discussed it over a lot of different days, then they had me send it to, I think, San Francisco. And they said they're going to pay me for the shipping, so I don't
A
know.
lot of Banggood stuff comes out of Rancho Cucamonga.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's.
they must have a station there or something. Yeah.
I thought maybe Stan was.
Right, Stan?
What's
Thought maybe
that?
Stan was shipping for him.
Yeah.
RZ's in Rancho Cucamonga. Aren't you up there, Stan?
Yes, I am.
They call that place 2 or 3 different names. I went to the Bash, and I used my GPS to find it. And the first thing it told me is it was 600 miles away. And it couldn't find Rancho Cucamonga for nothing. There's another name for that town too. It could find that name, but
Alta Loma.
yeah, Alta Loma, only 600 miles from the hotel I was in.
Nice. Yeah, the roads down here in Texas will go through 4 different names inside of 10 miles. So you'll be on the road that you're looking for and not even know it.
Yeah.
I went to Atlanta and took my son to a baseball tournament, and we were going to go back to the airport, and I ended up taking somebody else's son that needed a ride to the airport, and his flight was earlier than ours, so we're kind of in a jam. It turns out I'm trying to get to the airport, and I finally stopped at a store because the road changed, and it turns out this main freeway is a circle. It's the same number all the way around in a circle. But all of a sudden you drive along and you're going, it's west, and now it's north, and oh man, it was a mess.
That's the 610 loop around Houston. You can just stay right in the middle lane and you can go north, south, east, and west without ever
Really?
turning the
Okay.
steering wheel.
I was going to mention that.
Oh, I hate the way that feels.
Yeah.
You should hear the GPS. You're now on Beltway 8 Southeast,
Yeah.
or you're on Beltway South, Southeast, West, or something. It doesn't know what to do with it.
I like
That
when
was
you're on the
before
third
smart.
level of the flyover and GPS can't tell how high you are and it says turn right now. Destination on the right, 50 feet, turn right now. So yeah, I'll get right on that.
Yeah, the company flew me to Massachusetts one time, and I took my GPS, so the highest recorded speed on it is about 650 miles per hour.
How'd you do that? Throw it off a cliff?
Yeah, I turned it on while I was sitting there in my seat, and the airplane was doing 650. It got into the jet stream, and so my GPS records your highest speed ever, and it's still on it.
Nice.
That'd be a good ticket in Texas.
I hold that record in New Jersey on Interstate 80 with a 68 442 Oldsmobile.
There you go.
Doing 147 miles an hour to 55.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
Yeah. Did you get a ticket?
Oh, actually,
You got a night in jail.
they put up a statue in front of the police barracks with my face on.
There you go.
Now, he was really the state trooper in New Jersey was a real gentleman. Most of them are. And I didn't make him chase me. I knew I messed up. I pulled over. And he considerably reduced the speed that he put on the ticket. And I got 6 points out of the deal and paid like a $120 fine. Didn't lose the car or anything. But he could have thrown the book at me and did not because he didn't have to chase me.
Yeah.
When my daughter was a teenager, she went to Galveston and happened to notice that she was going to be late for work. So she come up 45. I don't know. I think she's doing 90 or 100. And the cops took her to jail, right straight to jail.
Wow.
She called. I had to go bail her out.
My daughter called me from Port
California,
Aransas
God.
one time. I made it to the Texas coast from Austin in 2 hours and 18 minutes.
That's how you were moving on.
Honda S2000 6 gear, about 130 miles an hour all the way. I figured if the cops got behind me, I was just going to let them follow me all the way to her hotel because she was in bad shape.
Oh, geez. Wow.
Don't mess with the New Jersey troopers. They're good guys. They are truly the gentlemen of police in my experience. They're great guys.
Yeah, I guess so. Hey, Randy, you still happy with that plasma cutter?
Yeah, works good. Hey, like I can't argue with it when something works like that. What do you say?
It works.
I mean, yeah, it works.
The first plasma cutter I ever got, I plugged the thing up, turned it on, and it would light the torch and it'd go out, and it had a lot of strange things happening. So I called the guy that was in the eBay sale that I got it from or through Amazon, and he was totally disgusted that I was dumb enough to plug the ground wire in the wrong outlet.
Oh.
Was it not labeled very good?
It didn't work very good at all.
Before or after you did that?
Well, it worked all right after. It never was really a really wonderful plasma cutter.
I've never used one. It's one tool I've never used.
Well, it was new to me. In fact, I hadn't even flame cut anything in 20 years. I don't know why I was getting involved in that.
Yeah, I don't know how it is in your area, but man, acetylene, you better bring your bank book if you got to go fill your bottles up here in California.
Yeah, well, I had my bottles been sitting out in the garage since about 1984, somewhere in there, 83, and I'd used all the gas up about 15 years ago, but it just had them sitting there, and I decided I wanted to start using them again. I took them over to the gas place, and the first thing I had is I got in trouble for bringing cylinder inside, and once I got them dropped off, they were all out of date, and I had to pay a total about $400.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get stuck pressure testing them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Will they keep that if they check it and it's out of date or out of calibration? Will they keep it?
Well, they retested it and repainted it and all that.
They
course,
do
they
a
gave
hydro
me-
on them just like a scuba tank.
Yeah, scuba tank, though, I think they drill holes in it before they give it back to you, don't they? I think
If
they
it fails.
If it fails.
Are they obligated to do that, or can you get it back if it's no good?
I don't know. I've never had one fail. I mean, they always hydro. They always pass hydro.
Isn't it a timeline thing? Is it like 10 years or 14 years?
Said, look at the date. Look at the date. He goes, make sure you bring your tanks before the date expires so you don't have any problems with the testing.
My air gas dealer's got some bottles he saves that have swastikas on them.
Really?
Wow.
They're German war era.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's
he
pretty
saved those, and they still pass hydro, but he won't let them out the door.
I wouldn't either. They'd never come back.
No, they got the German eagle with the swastika on them.
Very cool. Somebody probably paid big money for that.
They just got turned in. They just came in the door and they kept them. No one looks at the stamps on the bottles.
Neat.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Weird. When I worked in the chemical plant, we had a train that was liberated from Germany. It pulled the tank cars around in the plant.
Wasn't all full of gold and artwork, was it, Harold?
No, I don't know. I was never on it. One of my buddies parked one of the company trucks on the tracks, though, and it came by and smashed it in pretty good.
That'll do it.
He kind of got in trouble over that.
I could see why.
Yeah. I was watching Joe's last putting together the tiniest little thing, and I'm wondering what's next.
You know, I'm having way too much fun doing those. That's a good way to pass the time.
How many models they got left?
I have a table saw, a wood table saw, a miniature shaper, a milling machine, and a wood lathe to go. And then somebody donated a beautiful vertical Stewart steam engine kit.
Wow.
All the way from England, they sent it in. They sent it in.
Joe, what's your end game? Are you going to build a diorama? I saw you commented on a guy's video, months ago, where he had this whole diorama set up of a working, functioning machine
I've
shop.
seen a truly beautiful stand. What a piece of work.
Is that going to be your end game? Are you going to build a platform for all those?
I don't know. As much as I would like to say I would like to have something like that to look at, I think it would be cool to have them isolated in a wall unit and just be able to push a button and just fire up each one as you want to see it work. I don't know if I have the space for an actual diorama. Then I'd be tempted to go to shows and stuff with it, and I don't know if I have the time for that.
Yeah, well, I think the standard
grill press.
The
That
standard
guy's
model
video was
railroading.
very impressive.
Very
He had
much
the wood deck flooring. He had the line shaft. He had
Right,
the
the
model steam engine driving all
roll
the
top
machines.
desk and the ink wells and everything was just
It was
beautiful.
beautiful.
I think the standard model railroading caution applies. If you decide to build a scale model of your machine shop, build it outside of your machine shop.
Now, all the models you built are all the same scale at this point,
1/12, everything.
including the steam engine?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep, they're all accurate. It's intoxicating, actually. I didn't plan on doing the whole thing, but I had so much fun on the first one that I figured why not. Then the little arbor press was a lot of fun. This drill press I just finished building was a whole lot harder than I thought it would be. But what a beautiful piece when it was done. I like the contrast of the silver and the brass all like that. I'm afraid to paint these things because I know paint can mess things up pretty quick if you get where you don't want it. But I kind of like the way the raw blasted aluminum looks.
Oh, I tell you what, I'm always amazed that you turn out those tiny little parts.
Me too.
I say you got tweezers. You got to have tweezers for fingers. I don't know how you even pick up half of that stuff.
You just lick your finger and it sticks to your
There you
finger.
go.
It's easy. I need better eyes, though. I can tell you that some of that stuff is getting harder to see and even harder to film. It's really tough to get some of those shots of those tiny little pieces. I am enjoying it. It's very rewarding to see when they're done.
What kind of camera are you using?
I have several. I have 2 GoPros. I have a Nikon BX500 and my phone, my Moto G 4G camera on the phone is spectacular for close-up.
Is that what you're using for the
That's-
close-up? Your phone?
Majority of them, yes, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah,
I
I found out with the iPhone too. It's really good for close-ups.
Truly. And you can lock in the focus. Nikon didn't give me that option. And so some of the earlier videos, you can see the focus jumping in and out. It's so automatic. It thinks it's smarter than you. And there's no focus lock on it. And there is no manual mode. And I agree with the line shift comment.
Well, I always enjoy watching you assemble because you got the little parts on there and you're bringing in the tweezers and they're like, watch out, guys, here comes the finger. And it's just this gigantic finger that comes in and it's just this massive fingernail that takes up the whole screen,
I'm sorry about the best camera angle
it's
is line
gotta
of
be
sight.
tough.
It really is. It's hard to do that. Hard to put them together. I need to get better
You
tweezers.
get, you get so focused on when it's in the machine, you get so focused on the part and the drill bits are coming in. You don't really have a sense of how big or how small. this stuff is that's coming into it until, you know, you catch the back of Joe's hand or something that you can relate to. And then all of a sudden you go, damn, that's small.
Yeah. Oh, did you make the drift and knock the drill bit out? I don't remember.
No. No, I had a date with a bottle of Jack, and I just said, no. I'll probably grab a drill blank and just hand grind one that looks like a drift and to just break it off. You know, that way it's accurate and hard and ready to go.
You're gonna have to make some more drill bits too.
No, thank you. That little 6.0 taper that I had to do on that thing, that was a pain in the neck. That's a really small. Doing it the way I did it though, with the collar on the taper, that works well. If you ever need to hold anything that's tapered, make a collar, press it on, and just treat it like it's round. It works out really well. Good.
How many of you guys got 3D printers?
Not yet. It's on the list.
Ah,
I have
So I
too
guess-
many.
James is probably the expert on those suckers, or one of the experts. I was watching you using that carbon fiber stuff. I'm not going to experiment with it yet because it's just too expensive.
It is pretty pricey, yeah. The comments are always funny. Whenever I touch anything on 3D printing, all the 3D printing people come in, and it's a different crowd than the machine shop crowd for sure. They all know everything, and they all have experience with everything, and everything you do is wrong, and it's great.
Millions of experts. Isn't it amazing?
I've just started toying with them, honestly, in the comments. When people just get abusive, if they're not, if they're detracting from the community, I just block them. But if they're just coming in, I often just toy with them. They come in, oh, this is the best, and I'll just respond and say, best for what? And they never come back, or they start, it turns into word salad. Or somebody came in the other day and said, you're measuring wrong. And I just responded and said, your comment would be a lot more useful if you explained how to measure correctly.
Yeah, and then it's radio silence. You'll never hear from them again.
No.
But that comment will sit out there forever with that response on it, and that makes me smile.
I only delete comments that get personal. I've had a lot of,
Right.
people just say ugly things or just make comments that are not even related to the subject matter, and they don't even
If
belong.
you start calling people names, or you start telling me what I'm thinking as opposed to what I'm saying, then
True.
you're gone.
Then you're done.
Yeah, I usually just thank them for the comment. Move on.
Well, you're a lot nicer than we are.
I had a guy that called me a wife, not a wife beater, a lady beater or lady thrasher. I bought some stuff at the flea market, and the pricing was just crazy. And he went on and on about this. And so I wrote him back and said, I don't know if you've ever bought anything at the flea market, Craigslist, whatever, but they're there to sell. And they don't want to load it back in their car. They want to sell it. And I did this explanation. He wrote me back and he goes, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about anyway.
Some of them just talk crap just to fire you up. They don't really mean it. And then one of the things that I've noticed, I get thousands of comments, as you could probably get as well. And you lose something with a typed word or a typed sentence. You don't feel the emotion behind it. You don't know if it's a joke or constructive or a question or what. So, and I try to reply to get a better feel for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually had an email train with a city planner going back and forth. And after about 4 back and forths, I realized us writing and typing and emailing, we were talking about 2 different things. We really never got on the same train line on what we were talking about to try to argue. Yeah.
Wow.
Can
Hope it
happen.
ended well.
I won.
I've got one video that I always get nasty comments on. Did I go away?
You
You
just
guys
heard-
hear me?
You were froze there for a minute, Harold.
Yeah. But anyway, I was shooting sequins at 50 yards with a 22 long rifle, which is not easy to do. And every now and then I'll get a troll come through there where I can beat that with my air rifle, And I was on all the head guy rifle guy from my shooting club come over and tried to join this. He couldn't hit stuff for nothing,
Is that video still up?
Yeah. Yes, I've got about 90,000, 100,000 views on that.
Wow.
and they take turns demonetizing it.
How come?
Well, they don't like it. For some reason, YouTube's against firearms.
That's true. That's why I took my AR series down.
Yep. Well, I've got.
Go ahead, Hal. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I got death threats over that.
Really?
I did. I got called every name in the book that you could imagine for caving into corporate pressure and blah, blah, blah. And I actually got death threats over the fact that I pulled that AR series off of YouTube.
I pulled it. I archived it. I've got it on my
Good.
computer somewhere.
There's a lot of creative setups in that series. For a one-off, that was a good subject. Unfortunately,
It was. It really was.
it is gun related though, and they said you're going to ding me with some kind of community strike and demonetize some stuff, and I didn't want the community strike, so I took it down. Fair enough. It's their business. They're just letting me participate to play by the rules.
The thing is, they've got a monopoly on it. So,
Yeah.
you know, when you have a monopoly, you need government regulations to kind of make it fair.
Where did Keith Benner jump to? He said there was another YouTube style channel, right? Didn't he jump over there for a while?
MeWe.
Rumble.
There's
MeWe.
Rumble and there's another one. MeWe, yeah. MeWe.
No, MeWe's more a Facebook thing.
Mhm.
MeWe's a Facebook type social media.
But he's come back.
BitChute. BitChute is another one. I have videos on BitChute, and there's no censorship there at all. So Joe, you could put all those gun ones up, or all the AR ones. You could put them up on BitChute or something. One of those.
There's a channel out there called Full 30 that's been trying to get me to come over and post there. It's all guns all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of gun ones on YouTube. A lot of gun related ones, but they don't monetize them.
Right.
They don't stop them from being up there, but they don't monetize it.
From what I read, you can have a gun related channel showing targeting and firing your weapon, but if you show how to build a weapon from nothing, that's when they're going to nail you. They're not going to let you post that.
Has anybody seen the Pipe Bomb channel yet?
They show a lot.
What?
Stan, they show a lot of stuff about assembly of guns, gun parts, and things like that. I've seen a lot of videos, and that's what they're doing. They're just not monetized.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll let you show one that is where you're actually making something, like Joe did with the AR thing.
Yeah. I can tell you that the first time I bought a Ruger pistol, 22 pistol, I got into the same problem as everybody else. I couldn't put it back together. And on YouTube, there was about 2 or 3 different guys that knew how to do it. So I followed them, and now I can do it all the time.
I'm watching Joe's face when you say you couldn't put the Ruger back together.
Well,
There aren't that many pieces.
Well, they've got a
barrel
little-
link in the right place. The clip just goes in. I mean, it's not that hard.
well, they got a little spring in there, and when you start to put the thing back together, that little spring winds up in the wrong place if you're not real careful.
Well, that's true. Like the old P89s, the spring
Yeah.
goes on the rod, and then it just kind of hangs up on the barrel lug. It doesn't really. You just kind of have to know where to put it, and then it goes together. But yeah, that's a little tricky.
Yeah, I tell you this. I've got a nephew-in-law. He's got 2 or 3 of those Rugers, but he won't clean them because he's afraid he can't put them back together.
I got a really nice Infidel automatic knife that way. The guy tried to take it apart to oil it and couldn't put it back together. The $500 pocket knife, I got it for $25. He was pissed. Just a bag of parts. It just gave it to me.
Go ahead.
I routinely get comments every time I show a CNC machining video. I get requests, people saying they want me to show how to machine an AR lower receiver. It's like, that's not really what the channel's about. That's a lot of trouble I don't have, I think.
Stan, did you see the comment on the side about the 2022 Tool Fest at Bars East?
Right, I did
bash?
see that. And
Are you having a bash this year?
Yeah, we're having a bash. It'll be in June, late June. I think it lands on Father's Day this year. So all you sons, take your dad to the summer bash.
There you go.
Perfect day for dad. And we usually have a swap meet attached. So Chuck, if you got any more of your parts left, bring them on down.
That'd be a great
Do I need
place
to
to
send
work.
a truck?
Yeah,
It looks like you got quite a haul there.
quite a bit. Actually, we're going to do a meet and greet here in January or February. Up at,
February you changed it. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those we haven't decided. I went to Benicia to meet the guy, Andy. I've been there before, but he wants to hold it, and I couldn't remember what his shop was like and stuff. So on the way up, I don't know if on the way up, I called Tom and said, "Hey Tom, by chance," I called him Hayseed. I go, "Hayseed Tom," since he's a rancher now. I go, "Hey Hayseed, how you doing?" And I said, "Are you at your shop?" And he goes, "I'm not going to be there till this afternoon." And I said, "Oh, I'll miss you." But that day, which was Friday, he was moving all the rest of his big equipment. He had a mover there to help him, and they had forklifts at both sides. So I think he's 100% out of Benicia now.
Okay.
You suppose he'll get a pet squirrel like Steve Summers?
Possibly.
Does he still have that squirrel, Steve?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I hadn't seen Peanut in forever.
That's what I
Really?
call my dog.
I tell you what, I love squirrels. Chicken fried, white gravy on them.
I'll send you something
I
down
got
in the
plenty
yard.
of them for you here, Harold. We're inundated with them.
Yeah,
We are
just buy
too.
a couple and send them to you.
I can't touch them here. They're
They all die here. I don't know what the deal is.
There you go.
I had the
Lead
wife
poison.
noticed.
It's a lead poisoning issue. I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, lead poisoning. I like that.
Oh yeah. Oh,
We've
yeah.
had a squirrel that's been lunching on one of our patio cushions for about 3 months now. Tore a big hole in it, been ripping all the stuffing out of it. And just recently, when all the leaves dropped, there's this giant cotton ball. It's about 2 feet in diameter at the top of one of my trees. So now I know where that little sucker is. I guarantee he's not cold, though. He's got himself a nice little penthouse up there.
I just showed that picture of that little guy there up on one of my shutters of my house. That was the day we had a big storm and a tree fell in my yard. And I petted that little guy on the head, and he ran up a little bit and stayed on the shutter. He didn't get off of it. He was freaking scared. The storm hit so bad, he was drenched.
Now, you got to feel sorry for the wildlife that has to live outside in this stuff. They're not ready for it.
Yeah, but they've been out there for thousands of years.
I'm with Everett. I don't feel sorry for her. Hey, Stan, I don't. When did you say? You said Father's Day?
I think so. I'd have to look at a calendar. I think it landed on Father's Day this year.
Yeah. My daughter, my one daughter, she's having a baby, and it's due like right there. I'm gonna
Tell
be
her to hold off.
No, that ain't
She's
happening.
going to have that baby whether you're there or not.
You tell Julie that, right?
Hey, you did your part. The rest is up to you. I'll be over here having a beer.
Looks like Father's Day is on June 19th, Sunday.
Yeah.
That's when the bash was last
Get
year.
a
I think.
calendar out here.
Hopefully, this next wave of God knows what it's going to be called next week disease is taking a back seat by the time that rolls around.
Yeah.
Oh, I was on.
I don't even care about that.
Get a load of this. I was
all.
Omicron positive 5 days ago.
Really?
Me and my whole crew, we all had it.
How you feel?
So contagious. I felt like just hammered dog shit for 3 days, and now I'm fine.
Fever, cough. What's your symptoms?
Fever, cough. Feels like there's a little man inside your head trying to push your eyes out. Feels like the flu.
Oh, that sounds pleasant.
It
I've heard
feels like
taste-
the flu. Sinus.
Taste buds, and smell go away too. I've heard rumors of that. Is that true?
What
That's
is
for
it?
the other variant. That's for
Tasting.
the,
Tasting.
I had the other
No.
one, and yeah,
No, my taste was
went.
fine. I never lost my appetite. I ate through the whole thing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
drank a lot of water. I felt really dehydrated, and I just couldn't get enough water.
You wasn't
Yeah.
properly sick.
Was that?
Said
No,
you
I was-
wasn't properly
I was-
sick.
No, I went to a clinic. I was tested Omicron positive this last Wednesday, and I was in bed up until New Year's Day, which was yesterday. I was still bedridden yesterday. I feel good today. Got out in
They're
the sun.
saying that
Felt great.
They're saying it's less severe than the Delta.
Yeah, but more
Everyone's
contagious.
gonna get it.
I was down for a total of 4 days.
Everyone is going to get it, one
That's
way or
what they
another.
say. It's
Everyone is going
this
to get
this
it.
variant is highly contagious,
Yeah,
but the symptoms are nothing.
everyone's going to have it. I've
Did
already
you
had
get
it.
vaccinated, Stan? Do you have the vaccines and the boosters
No.
and stuff? No.
No,
No,
is
I'll
the
probably
vaccine
the
even
last
good for this
one.
new variant?
No, it's not.
Who knows?
No,
Probably not.
It is not. No.
I don't think it would have done me any good anyway. So
I'm
Yeah.
back to wearing a mask. I hate them things, but if it keeps
Yeah.
the house safe, I'll wear them.
you know,
Yeah, that's how it is here. You really
we
can't
don't even
go
know how we
anywhere.
caught it because we're in the Bar Z COVID bubble, which means we stay together, but we don't go around anyone else. We distance. We go on our job sites. We're hundreds of feet away from anyone else in the building, and no one comes near us, and we don't go near anyone else. Dinner, it's when we go out to dinner or lunch or whatever, it's masks and regular social distancing and everything. And so between the three of us, we don't even know how we caught it.
Somebody sneezed on something that they handed to you.
I don't know, maybe.
Right? Sound like
But
you're doing
it
everything
started
right.
with one of the guys that works for me, Frank. He was a little sick. I think Monday or Tuesday. I started feeling symptomatic about Wednesday, and we stayed at work and we just worked through it. And then by the time I got home, I felt pretty bad, and I was bedridden for 2-3 days when we got home for New Year's, and now I'm good. I'm going back to work tomorrow.
I've been tempted fate, I guess, because we spent Christmas at this resort up in Grapevine. It was packed, everything, and every place we went, and everything we did. And then I went to something the other day where there was about 1 million people, and I haven't had it yet.
Well, it's it feels like a flu-like symptoms. Just pressure in your head, little sinus, fever, tired, dull headache, that dull, nasty headache.
Well, that's the way I feel when I think.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
I lost my cousin to it about 3.5 weeks ago. So
Wow.
it can happen.
Sorry
I have
to hear that.
It was about 3.5 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago was his funeral or whatever. But he had the full on lung turned to foam, like just you're done, right? And then to my other cousin who's been double vaccinated, he had it as well, but he had a flu, and then now he's back to normal again, whatever. So it's just every person reacts differently to it, and even to the different variants, right? So that's the big thing, is the unknowns for everybody.
I didn't have any lung symptoms, no breathing problems, anything like that.
But it's it's out there. I mean, how we deal with it.
It's out there, all right.
So
Yeah.
sorry to be a downer on it, but that's it happens.
My daughter lost a very close friend
Yeah.
just recently. She coma for a while, and then just they had to pull the plug. She was done. She wasn't coming out of it.
Yeah.
And it was really unfortunate to hear that that's going on all around us.
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
But as far as at some point, we will have adjusted to being able to just get on and being more normal again, and getting just basically markets back working. It will come eventually. It's just taking longer than any of us really want it to.
No doubt.
So
Yeah, it's really getting drug out. It's wearing
Well,
on everybody.
it's going to be with us forever, just like the flu.
Yeah, it'll be like influenza. I was hospitalized in 2005 with the flu. Bad. My eyes turning yellow, urine in my bloodstream, body shutting down. I was poisoned, and my body was completely shutting down. 3 days in the hospital took me to get well.
From the flu.
From influenza, yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Middle of summer too. It wasn't even flu season.
Yeah.
Huh.
I had H1N1 when I was 31, and I had like fever of 40 degrees centigrade, and whatever. I felt like death warmed over,
You
And
guys are
the
gonna be
thing is,
nervous.
in my early 30s, I can see how in my early 30s that it wasn't whatever, I moved on. If I was in my late 60s, early 70s, it definitely would have killed me. I'll tell you right that with the symptoms I had. So I mean, yeah, the flu is fatal too. It got my grandma. So I mean, this is what we face, right? So this is life. This is part of the process.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get used to it eventually.
So,
But
Well, guys,
Yeah.
real quick, how do you have 60,000 people in a football stadium and nobody's got masks on? College stadiums, pro stadiums, and they're sitting right next to each other, and they're not coming all out diseased. It's
There's big money involved in football.
yeah. But I
that's
think
what
the whole
Well,
thing,
money
money in
scares it
football
all.
isn't going to stop it.
the whole
It's just
thing of
like
the-
Prop
the whole thing of the
65,
contact
Chuck.
thing.
Shit's
Yeah.
only cancerous here in California, not in,
Yeah,
not in the
that's
other
right.
49 states.
It's on every package.
Right.
So-
Everything.
It's
You
sitting
bought a
on the inside of my
refrigerator,
mask.
and because it's made out of
Here.
stainless steel, it had a Prop 65 warning on it.
It's in
Well,
right here. This mask
I
is
tried to
not
buy some
Here,
welding
this,
rod.
this ruler's stainless. It's
And-
Prop 65.
Yeah,
for all you guys viewing, I appreciate y'all showing up to watch
Thanks for
this.
coming, everybody.
Happy
Our
New Year.
hours
Everyone.
are
It was a
over.
pleasure
Happy
talking to
New
you.
Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
We'll
Stay
see you
well.
again next Sunday.
Thanks, Harold. Appreciate the invite.
all right.